Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at 10 funny employees who got bored at work. So I'm sure from time to time we've all been bored at work. Sometimes when it gets to those final few hours in the afternoon, you're super bored. But if you're funny and creative enough, you can make work fun. Before we get into it, why not subscribe and press the notification bell too. Coming in at number 10 is Office Safari. So most of the pictures on this list show workers who are very bored, but these images show an entire office. You may have seen those people who get bored on the bus and try and draw people in odd ways. Well, this guy did something very similar with all the monitors in his office. He took all of his monitors and made them into animal bodies. He then got his co-workers to pose in certain ways and made them into animals. This is pretty much an office safari. As you can see, there's one worker who's a hippopotamus. Another lines up perfectly with a monkey. One is the upper half of a bear, and there's one very unimpressed bird. Not to mention a very happy looking platypus. I have to say this is one fun, yet not very productive office. Does anyone else think the Birdman looks kind of like Jimmy Kimmel? When these were posted online, some called them childish and ridiculous. But I would watch your words around a grizzly bear. But seriously, I think these guys are having a ton of fun at the office. Even if not that much work got done that day, at least these guys are having a good time. Next up is Yabba-dabba-doo. If you don't know what Yabba-dabba-doo means, then you're way too young. Of course, Yabba-dabba-doo is from the very popular cartoon The Flintstones. It's about a modern Stone Age family, and it all revolves around a caveman named Fred Flintstone and his caveman family. In case you haven't noticed, the cartoon isn't very realistic. There are cavemen and dinosaurs around at the same time. They also mix cement in pelicans' mouths, and they use their feet to power their cars. In fact, Fred Flintstone's car is one of the most famous things about the cartoon. Well, one day some people working on a construction site who are obviously big Flintstone fans decided to make this. As you can see, they literally recreated Fred's car perfectly. They've got it all, from the stone seating to the wooden steering wheel. I have to say this looks pretty awesome, but I'd like to see somebody try and drive this. The only thing I'm wondering is how long did this take to make? It seriously looks like some major effort went into this. Whosever house these guys are supposed to be constructing, it's gonna take a little while longer. But you have to admit, this rocks. Literally. But I'm pretty sure this is the most fun company to work for in the world. Next time you guys are hiring, let me know. I think these guys' next project should be the mystery van. Next up is hair salon. So this image is pretty amazing and may even throw you off a bit. If you take a look at this image, you likely saw a dog. But look again and you'll see it's not a dog whatsoever. In fact, someone's friend who works at a hair salon actually sent them this. But the creepy thing is, this is not a dog salon, but a human hair salon. That's right guys, this dog is made from human hair. It's slightly more gross and less cute when you think of it like that. But even so, at least she has fun while mopping up hair. It takes a lot of skill to make mopping up hair into fun, but this girl did it. I still can't tell if this is cute or creepy. I'm just curious to see what look she gets from the other customers as she does this. But I have to say, if I walked past the salon and saw that on the floor, then I'm going in. Next up is Excel art. So, do you guys work a boring job? Many of the most boring jobs like finance and accounting involve using Excel. In fact, in a poll, Excel was voted the most boring computer program in the world. Seeing as Goat Simulator exists, that's really saying something. But anyway, one day somebody decided to turn Excel into something a bit more fun. You may think in certain jobs which all involve numbers, you don't get to express yourself much. So that is why this guy turned his Excel spreadsheet into his canvas. As you can see, this guy made a perfect 8-bit image of Mike Tyson in Excel. I'm pretty sure I know exactly what Mike would say if he saw this. This is awesome. Or at least something like that. I have to say I'm glad I'm not this guy's boss. I'm not sure how much free time this guy gets at work, but I guess it's a lot. I think this guy's next piece should be the Sistine Chapel. If he can make an 8-bit Mike Tyson, he can make an 8-bit Michelangelo. Next up is Work Castle. So, where do you work? You might have a very luxurious corner office in the city, or you might have a small cubicle box, but wherever you work, it's likely not a castle. Well, at this guy's workplace, he decided to make a change to that. As you can see, he transformed his small cubicle into a castle. This was complete with the main castle gate and castle walls. Not to mention a cardboard cutout of a woman acting as lookout. I have to say, if I worked next to this guy, I wouldn't know what to think. I'd probably assume he'd gone crazy. Or maybe this castle contains the dragon, aka the boss. This looks like something the guys from Workaholics would do. But I guess this goes to show no matter how much of a grown-up job you have, we're all kids at heart. Even corporate workers have to find time for fun. Next up is Bookstore. So this is kind of similar to the Office Safari that we saw before, except this one is arguably even more creative. These images show what happens when Bookstore employees get bored. As you can see, somebody took photos of their co-workers and put books in front of them, and their co-workers line up perfectly with these books. There's a woman eating an apple with the exact same painted nails. There's also a woman with the same red hair posing on the book, and even a guy who looks exactly like Napoleon, and a guy with a perfect head shape and black t-shirt for this book too. It's pretty insane how these are perfectly matching and haven't been photoshopped at all. These were taken in the Marley Bookstore in France, and they actually have an entire Instagram page full of these. Next time I go to France, I have to visit this bookshop just to get my photo taken. Coming up next is mechanic. So when it comes to mechanics, we know they work pretty hard. There's not a lot of time for sitting around at your desk browsing social media, or making Mike Tyson on Excel. But one day somebody's mechanic at work got very bored and welded something amazing in his spare time. Except instead of just wasting time, this was super creative. As you can see, he used a collection of metal and made this figure. It seems to be a man made out of iron lifting weights. This guy really should be an artist. And I have to say, even though this figure is made of metal, it's pretty cute. This guy should really make a side hustle selling these, as I would definitely buy that. It looks like this guy's in the wrong trade with the right tools. Who knows, seeing as this photo went viral, maybe he'll quit and go full-time as an artist. Coming up next is Dogtor. So we've seen a lot of people who've been bored at work, but now it's time for an animal who's bored at work. Not really, but check out this photo. As you can see, one day a vet got very bored at work, so decided to pass their job onto somebody else. Or rather, something else, as they gave their job to a dog. This vet decided to entertain themselves by making a dog tour. I have to say, that dog looks very professional. By the look on this dog's face, he looks very convincing, so maybe I should pay him a visit. But really, this is a very cute and funny photo for any dog lovers out there. But what do you guys prefer, cats or dogs? Let me know in the comments. Next up is faces. So this is somebody who got very bored at work. What they did is kind of impressive because it's creative, but it's much more impressive because they wasted so much time doing it. As you can see on a whiteboard in an office somewhere, somebody did this. They literally drew hundreds if not thousands of faces. This is the embodiment of somebody with way too much free time. I'd like to see somebody count how many faces there are here. Who knows, maybe the guy who drew them could do that, seeing as he already wastes so much time anyway. Many people say this looks like Saitama from One Punch Man, and I have to say I do see the resemblance. But can you guys imagine how creepy it would be walking into work in the morning, turning on the lights and seeing thousands of faces staring right at you? I hope nobody ever clears this whiteboard, as it belongs in a museum. Next up is programming. So we all know that cables can be super annoying, and for people who work in IT, a lot of their job involves cable management. Well, one day a guy had lots of cables in the storage room, but instead of programming, this IT worker decided to start jamming. As you can see, he made the cables into Bob Marley. These cables are supposed to look like Bob Marley's dreadlocks, and when you put the face on the dreadlocks, they really do look alike. This guy should make a body to go with it. Another face you could use here is Predator, but I have to say, this guy is pretty funny. If you were having a bad day at work and saw this, no doubt you'd cheer up. Unless you were the boss, then you'd probably be pretty annoyed that people are wasting time. But guys, what do you think looks better, Bob Marley or the Predator? Next up is worker's wedding. So sometimes people can get very bored at work, but one thing that will excite the whole office is a wedding. One day somebody's project manager at their office decided to get married. They announced it to everyone at their building company and they were all very happy for them. And seeing as they were working in a building company, they decided to make a building related gift. Some people took some time out and made a wedding hard hat for them. As you can see, it's painted white and is complete with sequins and even a veil. I have to say, although this does waste time, it's very sweet. And I really hope they wore it to the wedding. It's a very nice gesture and will definitely be a memory keeper. If your employees are doing this for you, then it goes to show you're a pretty good boss. Most bosses will be annoyed when workers get bored and do other things, but I think this boss really can't complain. Check out the poll in the top right corner to vote for the best employee who got bored at work. For me, I think it's gotta be the Flintstone car because that looks like it took serious effort. If you guys want more awesome videos, then check out my second channel. There'll be a link to that on screen in a moment. And I'm even gonna play a sample from that channel on screen right now so you guys can get a taste. But as always, thanks for watching. Check out some more videos on screen right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.